So what I will present is a present and future model of the MIP data privacy, MIP standing for the Medical Informatics Platform. I'll motivate what we're doing, the challenges that we are facing when we talk about privacy, connecting to some of the presentations that were given before, and then I'll talk about what we do in the MIP for data privacy, and then I'll conclude. So the motivation is that medicine is all moving towards artificial intelligence and data science. There is top-down medicine, but also now bottom-up medicine, data-based medicine, and you need much of AI and data science. And the data landscape that we're facing, and we saw that in previous sessions and talks, there is an unprecedented amount of data that is being collected in hospitals. And the pandemic also gave even a further boost into this. And as Fabian presented, the more you have data, the better science and the more reliable results you can come up with. But on the other hand, there are rules and regulations and the law that prevent you from using the data any way you please. So how do we balance between these two? The stronger the privacy that we provide, the lower the barrier it is for hospitals to enter the picture and use the MIP or other such systems, because then being good about the rules and regulations, being compliant is more secured based on the privacy guarantees that is given. So let me say a few things about the Medical Informatics Platform. It has been presented and discussed by Philippe yesterday, and also Emra, and mentioned in a few other talks until now. It is part of the Human Brain Project, and the Medical Informatics Platform wants to combine all the stakeholders that you see here, a lot of hospitals and as data providers, a lot of users of this data. And in the middle, we have the artificial intelligence data science technology. And that's what we've been talking about in this session, and that's what I'll talk about here, because that's where I live. I live, and everyone who is involved with building the Medical Informatics Platform is in that little corner in AI and data science technology. So that's what I'll focus on. The MIP is a major undertaking, and currently it is being built by the environment, the ecosystem of the MIP has three main partners. The SHUV in Lausanne, which Philippe is there, and Emra and others, which is coordinating the whole thing, gives us requirements from the medical side, deploying the system as Emra mentioned a few times, and also doing the hospital network layer and the user interface. The Athena Research Center that I am coordinating has the overall technical coordination of the software, and the biggest part, data management, computation management, the machine learning algorithms, and of course, privacy preservation is part of the work that we do as the biggest part of the software. And then the Athens University of Economic and Business is doing the downstream, the data ingest, data curation and cleaning to prepare it then for management and learning and so on. And although it is the three of us building it, there are a whole bunch of organizations that have been involved in the past in the Human Brain Project, in the MIP realm, let's say, EPFL, the Tel Aviv University, the University of Athens, JSI from Ljubljana have contributed to its building, and then a whole bunch of other organizations around it in the context, the UCL, Fraunhofer, Sky, Charité, and so on and so forth. So this is who is around the MIP now, but also stepping on what has been done by others. What are the MIP goals? Hospitals sharing lots of data. I mean, the sharing of the data is the key thing in everything that we're discussing. Brain-related diseases, bridging both research and clinical practice, and being compliant with GDPR. This is a key element that we can never be forgetting. So what are the challenges? This is, if you want, an inference graph of what challenges we have and how each challenge brings in another challenge. And starting from the statistical challenges, especially for rare diseases, like many of the neurodegenerative diseases that are the focus of this event, there are not enough data inside a single hospital or inside a country, possibly, that we can have, we can use and come up with statistically significant results. And there are laws that prevent you from crossing these hospitals. Although we need to bring in data from all hospitals, or many hospitals anyway, for precision medicine, for finding biomarkers, for coming up with digital twins that are applicable not to the average person, to the average brain, to the average neurosystem, but in general. So you need hospital data federation. And Philippe Rivelin yesterday also exposed this in a great way. Now, needing all this, needing the hospital federation leads to legal ethical. And that's privacy, of course, because laws and regulations, as I said, and GDPR, especially for Europe, but also California has its own. And the world is following the leadership of Europe in this instance, but also security. And Embra mentioned a few things with respect to regulations and policies. You need complete adherence and in depth of time. It's not just we did it now and we can forget about it later. You need that in depth of time. And the legal and ethical requirements, together with the statistical ones, challenges, bring us technological challenges. I won't spend too much time on this because a whole bunch of thoughts have been shared already by the previous speakers. But you need privacy, and at the same time, you need the exact result. Ideally, you need the exact result as if there was no issue of privacy and you could access the raw data. And how do you analyze privacy, security, and how do they interplay? We need significant research and development advances in this. Many have happened, have been laid out by the previous presentations, but a lot more is to come. And on the other side, these challenges, the statistical challenges, bring us, so to speak, sociological and psychological challenges. What about patients losing their data because they have fear of losing privacy protection, losing money because their data may be worth money? Clinicians feeling that they lose their own data that they want in order to come up with research issues and so on and so forth. And of course, administrators are losing sleep. We need incentives and guarantees in a system, in a market, in an environment, in a space where this data need to be shared. So how is the MIP approaching data privacy? As Professor Carminati mentioned, there is privacy with respect to data publishing and privacy and security with respect to data analysis. And various techniques have already been mentioned. I won't go into them. Oops, but now my slides are not going either. Okay. So when we go to federated learning, what are the main components? We have a master worker paradigm always, where workers access the data, the hospital data, and the central node sees only aggregates. And the current approach in the MIP has privacy in the sense it's privacy aware with respect to the fact that the connections between the central node that sees everything, but the everything is not the raw data, which only the hospital node see it, but only aggregates. And the goal is to have the exact result, to have the identically as if everything was in a center, in one node, in one machine, and it was analyzed without any privacy concerns. But there are many learning techniques that are not distributive. They're not algebraic in the sense that they cannot be broken down in pieces or take the pieces and be unified and get the same result. How do you deal with this? Well, with approximations and whatever can be shared to be shared centrally in order to be brought into the right result. A whole bunch of algorithms have been implemented in the MIP. I won't go over them. Some give you the exact result, some give you approximate results with the techniques that I mentioned, but there is a rich suite that researchers and data scientists can use on top of the data that are collected from the 34 hospitals that was mentioned by Emra in his talk, that can be brought together with limitations and particularities, of course, and for every disease in order to do federated analysis. What are the mechanisms for publishing privacy that we are injecting into the MIP? Differential privacy, of course. Minos Varoufakis is leading this effort for the MIP, and I mean, after his talk, you can be sure he's doing a great job. And for analysis privacy, secure multi-party computation, where cryptographic guarantees, again, it was mentioned, they will never release the raw data, and the system behaves in although distributed, as if it is centralized. And just to have you a very quick run through SMPC, we have a private computation request by some researcher, let's say, to a coordinating server. This is translated to import requests to the various hospitals that have the data, the red hospital, the green hospital, the blue hospital. Then through a protocol, a major protocol that is secret sharing of the data, partitioned, it's distributed sent to an SMPC cluster, and you see that a piece of the data is distributed, partitioned to the various nodes of the cluster, so that nobody has all the data from everyone, only pieces. And with a protocol, this is not possible to find what you want. You do the computation, and then the result is sent back to the coordinator, who gives back the response to the researcher. So this extra layer of security and privacy given is what the importation to this MPC. And the nodes that they share, I want to emphasize, they do it through a secure importation protocol. This is the key. How do data go from hospitals to the cluster, which is something outside? And everything else in the cluster is automated. Now, challenges that we are facing: variable security levels. There is trade-off between security and speed, it was mentioned, and also the threat models. What are we afraid of that a node may do? Is it active malicious node, or is it honest by curious node? That's a very different kind of threat that we need to face. And then how do you optimize the coordination of the nodes? These are technical challenges that are facing, and also doing research for further advancing. Just to give you a flavor for active malicious adversaries, where they really actively trying to break you down and identify results and do something malicious to it, you need the higher security. But then you also you have the negative effect that computation time increases. Fabian's presentation gave a very nice also space on what you need to look into. For the honest but curious adversaries, they run the protocol. They don't leave out the protocol, but they attempt to learn others' data. It's like gossiping, you know, the curious neighbor that wants to know how much meat you buy every day. There you can have still lower security to increase the computation times. This is the big distinction. And Minos mentioned in his talk what we do in the MIP, where we combine differential privacy and SMPC by putting differential privacy, where we inject the noise that differential privacy is doing into the SMPC computation at the data that arrive here, because it is noise, but it's contained. The amount of noise is contained, and we don't lose anything on the privacy guarantees. Whereas if you put individual noise in every hospital and then you send them to an SMPC cluster, this results in too much noise, and the end result is less useful than before. The current status and integration that we have in the MIP, we're using two SMPC protocols to capture this spectrum, where we have the full threshold SMPC that provides very strong guarantees, but it has high computational demands. It takes some time to achieve this. And we also have the Shamir protocol, which is slightly less secure, because again, the threat model that it's working on, it's appropriate for, it's more relaxed, but it's order of magnitude faster, and this plays a big role if your threats are less. So you can see we have the secret sharing that we sent by getting the data from the hospitals to the SMPC cluster running the protocol. And of course, we have the controller where all the data come from. There are many, this is ongoing work. I mean, the MIP is a system, as it was mentioned again by the SHUV colleagues who are responsible for deploying it. It is in 34 hospitals. Many more interactions and agreements are on the way to be made for further installations and increasing the various federations that are being built based on the MIP. But also we are version 6.0 now, and there are many more versions to come, both at the engineering level, where we are refactoring a major part of it for increased performance, increased privacy, increased usability, and so on, but also on the techniques themselves that we're employing, improving response times, as I said, the speed, the utility by having various other, various differential privacy mechanisms entering the SMPC cluster, more aggregates than the ones that we have now, and then also implementing source-to-source compilation to systems that provide many system level facilities and that make our work better. So the conclusions: the future of medicine, and certainly as the MIP shows of neuroscience, is driven by machine learning and in general artificial intelligence and data science. Data management, it's data driven, but it's also the future of medicine is driven by responsible AI and data science, and privacy plays a very big role in achieving this responsibility and the responsible use of the data that we can collect from the wealth that is found in hospitals in Europe and possibly around the world. Thank you. That's it from me.